Well, we have finally made it. It is Multiverse Wars episode 20. And oh boy, is this a special one today. We've already done the Superman vs. Metro Man rematch for the 10th episode. And now for the 20th one, we're featuring other Supermen from different universes that are much like Superman, but are completely fucking like evil or just alternate in their morals. I even have an evil version of Superman right now to face them all. So, today, this is it. The Supermen Battle Royale. Which superpowered being will be able to outlast the other one? Which one will be able to pretty much outlive and stand on top and conquer the other people? Well, it's time we find out in this episode of Multiverse Wars. But before we do that, we're gonna have to discuss many other new characters who joined this series. But I'm not going to be discussing Metro Man since I've already talked about him multiple times, and not really Homelander either that much. I will go into detail to him, but not as much because I've already talked about him in Homelander versus Titan video, so check that out. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about the other new Supermen in the series, so yeah. But it's going to be a quick lightning round, so I don't want to waste too much time talking about them and make this video even longer than it has to. So yeah, with that stuff out of the way, let's go. First off, we're going to be talking about Omni-Man, but not the Amazon series version. We're talking about the comic book version of Omni-Man, the one that's much more powerful and the one who eventually dies, of course. But now we're going to be talking about this version and why he's so absolutely busted. Now, this version of Omni-Man is much more powerful since he's completely developed from the Amazon series. For starters, he is of course a Viltrumite, and Viltrumites have these things called smart atoms, which makes them extremely durable. Now, when it comes to his powers and abilities, he is the extreme powerhouse. He is shown to be extremely fast, as he's shown creating fire in some cases, and can also capable of creating massive shock waves. He also even has telepathy, as he has alien technology in his ear, which allows him to transmit and hear other people's thoughts. He also pretty much has Viltrumite DNA, which allows to aggressively repairs itself from different contexts, of course. He's also extremely fast as well, as I said, as he was able to fly from Earth to Thraxon in just a week, prove that he is massively faster than light, as you would have to be extremely fast in order to get there that quickly, especially within just 1 week, of course, obviously. He's also super strong, as he was pretty much extremely strong as shown in the Invincible War, and he should be superior to Tech Jacket, and Tech Jacket is shown to be extremely strong, as he can scale to other characters who are capable of lifting entire rocks and craters. So yeah, that's pretty impressive as well. He also has extreme stamina, as he can practically go on for hours and even several days on end, and even if he runs out of oxygen, it can pretty much show that Viltrumites can go for extended periods of time without even air without them, so they can basically go on without it. So that's also really good as well for him. But as for his weaknesses, however, he isn't perfect, of course, especially physically. The smart atoms cannot withstand if they're in hot temperatures for long periods of time, and if they do, they'll eventually melt like any other normal being would if they were exposed to the sun for far too long, or just exposed to the sun in general if they're not super strong like a Viltrumite, or super durable. And now it's time we talk about Superman himself, or at least a corrupt version of himself, that being the guy from Injustice. Superman is actually the main antagonist of the Injustice universe, as after Lois's death caused by the Joker and completely destroying Metropolis alongside other heroes, Superman has officially finally lost it, and at first his actions were understandable, but now he has gone too far and has become the villain himself. Now, as for his powers and abilities, they're practically the same as many other Supermen throughout the DC multiverse. Super speed, super strength, heat vision, ice breath, and yeah, those kind of stuff. But he is also pretty capable of defeating many other gods themselves, as he was capable of defeating Hercules and even killing Shazam, who is on par with Superman in many ways. But it seems that pretty easily he killed him, and you might question how he's able to actually kill Shazam this easily, as he was capable of heat visioning his brain, but still, Shazam is just as powerful as Superman, if not more, because of magic, which is something that Superman is vulnerable to. So that's pretty confusing, but the game already shows him that, so that's still pretty good that he's able to do that, since he's really going to need that when he's faced against the other Supermen. Now, as for his weaknesses, it's pretty typical. It's kryptonite, but also because of the fact that other people are just as strong as him, thanks to the Kryptonian pills that were made by Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor even tried to kill him himself, but eventually he was killed by Clark himself. And he's also pretty strong as well, and he was, with the help of pretty much Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and even Shazam himself, who already died, they were capable of lifting the entire city of Atlantis, an entire city. Now granted, Superman did get help, but still, the fact that they were able to lift it is still pretty impressive in itself. But still, they're super strong and practically godlike, so that shouldn't be too much of a surprise to itself. But as for his weakness, however, he has still become extremely violent, and he is willing to murder his teammates simply for mentioning his deceased wife. But yeah, he also is still weak to the Red Suns, obviously, which are pretty much his weakness still. And speaking of which, we now have Hyperion, which is essentially Marvel's version of Superman, but still, he is quite different from DC Superman. Well, they're different, but still. One day, pretty much, the superhero that would become pretty much Hyperion, or super being, as you would say, came to Earth as a baby, sent as the only survivor of a race of Eternals that were dying of the world. Essentially the same as Superman and Krypton being destroyed, you know, the basic stuff. But as an adult, he became a superhero known as Hyperion and protected the world alongside him as a Squadron Supreme. But as for his powers and abilities, they are standardly the same as supervision. Flight, super strength, super speed, heat vision, you know, that's basic stuff. He's also extremely fast. He's easily capable of reaching speeds up to massively faster than light. He also has combat reaction speed levels that are capable of also reaching faster than light speeds as well, as he flew faster than Sunspot and is capable of keeping up with the likes of Thor himself. But as for his weaknesses, much like Superman, he is also vulnerable to magic. He is also capable of being depleted of solar energy, which powers his, powers. Now we have a newcomer to the Multiverse Wars series, Brandon Breyer, aka Brightburn. Brandon was actually an existential alien who crashed landed Earth as a baby, much like Superman. But however, unlike Superman, Brandon was completely evil to the core, but it just didn't show yet. At first, he seemed like a pretty average kid, but in general, when it really comes down to it, when finally his powers kicked in, it was revealed for the true psychopathic murderer that he is. But we've already seen the movie Brightburn. Now let's talk about his powers and abilities, of course. The standard heat vision, flight, super strength, super speed is pretty impressive, as he was capable of crushing a girl's hand. And once again, yeah, she was just a kid, but even then, a kid crushing another person's hand and actually fucking breaking it, that's really insane. Especially since Brandon looks just like a regular kid, but still, he's still actually superhuman, of course. As for his speed, it is pretty impressive, as he's capable of reaching supersonic plus speeds, as he's capable of keeping up with many vehicles and other stuff. But as for his lifting strength, he easily lifted a truck, so that's pretty insane as well. And he was even capable of ripping a metal door in half. And as for his durability, it should be around in decent levels, I will say, maybe wall, as he did tank getting shot in the head with a shotgun, a lawnmower blade broke against his arm and nothing happened to his hand. He also has high stamina, as he's capable of killing people for a really long time without really getting tired at all. But as for his weaknesses, however, while he is intelligent and he's extremely knowledgeable of different things in the world, he's still just a kid though, and basically he doesn't really know right from wrong, and he is still an inexperienced child, like I said before, who doesn't really have much experience when it comes to combat and fighting, since he's so much stronger than everyone else. And speaking of which, now it's time we talk about Homelander, or at least the comic book version, as this version is a little bit different from that from the show. You see, in the show, well, basically they're kind of similar when it comes to overall power level. For his speed, he is comparable to A-Train, who can run around Mach 3 speeds. He's also fast enough to create massive sonic booms. He once quickly flew from New York City to Washington, D.C., which is pretty fast in its own right. He also has some pretty high durability, and he was completely unharmed by it after colliding with a passenger jet. He also has pretty much his heat vision, and also has a sonic scream, which are capable of damaging people's ears to the point where they can basically become deaf, honestly. I mean, holy shit, man. But as for his weaknesses, however, the comic is pretty clear, especially with the TV series version. He is an insane, complete psychopath, and he is also completely obsessed with himself and really only cares about what other people think of him, honestly. So, yeah. He also has made fairly poorly decisions and can pretty much run head first against any other opponent, even those that are way stronger than him. Sheldon Sampson, also known as Utopian, is a character in Jupiter's Legacy. We're going to be focusing on the Netflix series version, as he is shown to be the leader of the superhero team called the Union of Justice. But times really have changed, honestly. This show takes place in the modern world now, and he doesn't really seem to understand about the world we live in today anymore, or even his own family. But now it's time we talk about his powers and abilities. Much like Superman, he has heat manipulation, which are pretty much his optic blast from his eyes, which is essentially just heat vision, I'll just call that. He also has mind manipulation, as he is completely unaffected by the brainwave ability. He also has pretty much attack potency that are completely unrivaled by most characters in the show, as he was capable of harming the clone of Blackstar, who would have destroyed half of Missouri after going nuclear, and would have survived his own self-detonation while holding back, and even stopped this life-threatening comet. He even almost killed the real Blackstar, who was much stronger than the clone. He also is extremely fast, as his speed should be calculated around massively hypersonic level, as he flew from Earth to Mars back in less than a day, and also casually flew from Toronto to Luna in pretty much just 9 seconds, honestly. He even has lifting strength above class 10, as he's easily overpowered Iron Orchid, who easily tore through metal doors. He also has extremely high durability, as he also took kicks from, once again, Blackstar, who was fully confident he was going to survive the clone Blackstar's detonation. He's also extremely intelligent and skilled, as he is extremely experienced, being over 120 years old. But as for his weaknesses, however, he holds back due to the code. And last but not least, we have Mr. Majestic from the Wildstorm universe. Basically, born Mestros at Krita, Mr. Majestic arrived on Earth thousands of years ago after a run with the Datramites, his race's great enemy. After crash landing on Earth, Majestic has become bent to become extremely powerful and becoming the planet's protector. As for his powers and abilities, you know the basic stuff. He actually did once meet Superman. He did actually once meet Superman before in the comics, and Superman even admitted that Mr. Majestic was stronger than him. So that's pretty impressive, coming from Superman himself, that he is weaker than Mr. Majestic. And once again, as for his durability, it's also high. For striking strength at Sorcerer class and durability Sorcerer level, he's also shown to has extremely high stamina. He is shown for several months and once to the end. Even when he was dying, he was still capable of fighting. He's also extremely massively faster than light, as he scales to Superman himself. But as for his weaknesses, on the other hand, basically, should Majestic ingest pretty much a damper capsule, it will take away all of his powers and the duration of all of his effects. And now it's time we've come to this moment. Who would win this ultimate free-for-all, this ultimate battle royale? Well, I would say that the winner has to be Metro Man, since I never mentioned him. That's because I wanted to make this battle seem much more close than it actually seems. But in reality, this fight is kind of a stomp, kind of not really, since Superman, I guess, would probably give Metro Man a decent fight, since he is evil in this version. It is injustice, after all. But at the same time, I would say that Metro Man would eventually be able to use his super speed and eventually speed blitz and destroy every single member of this Battle Royale free-for-all roster. So, overall, while the other members of this team, roster didn't have absolute great power, they were no match for Metro Man's speed. And Metro Man probably would have gone destroyed with the rest of them had it been for its speed. So overall, I would have to say that he wins. So yeah, that was Multiverse Wars number 20. The series has come a long way now since episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll see you later in the next one. And Multiverse Wars number 21. Goodbye.